April 10th, 2 Samuel 19, 20, and 21. 2 Samuel 19. And it was reported to Joab, "See, the sovereign is weeping and mourning for Absalom." So the deliverance that day was turned into mourning for all the people. For the people heard on that day, saying, "The sovereign has been grieved for his son." And all the people stole back into the city that day, as people who are ashamed steal away when they flee in battle. And the sovereign covered his face, and the sovereign cried out with a loud voice, "O my son Absalom, O Absalom, my son, my son." And Joab came into the house of the sovereign, and said, "Today you have put to shame all your servants who today have saved your life, and the lives of your sons and daughters, and the lives of your wives, and the lives of your concubines, by loving those who hate you, and by hating those who love you. For you have made it clear today that you have neither commanders nor servants. For today I know that if Absalom had lived, and all of us had died today, it would have been right in your eyes. Now arise, go out and speak to the heart of your servants. For I swear by Yah, if you do not go out, not one passes the night with you. And that is worse for you than all the evil that has come upon you from your youth until now." So the sovereign rose up and sat in the gate. And they told all the people, saying, "Look, the sovereign is sitting in the gate." And all the people came before the sovereign. And as for Israel, they had fled, each one to his tent. And it came to be that all the people were contending throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, "The sovereign delivered us from the hand of the enemies. He rescued us from the hand of the Philistines. And now he has fled from the land because of Absalom. And Absalom, whom we anointed over us, has died in battle. And now, why are you silent about bringing back the sovereign?" And sovereign David went to Zadok and Abiathar the priest, saying, "Speak to the elders of Judah, saying, why are you the last to bring the sovereign back to his house, since the words of all Israel have come to the sovereign to his house? You are my brothers, you are my bone and my flesh. Why then are you the last to bring back the sovereign?" And say to Amasa, Are you not my bone and my flesh? Elohim do so to me, and more also, if you are not commander of the army before me all the days in place of Joab." But he swayed the hearts of all the men of Judah as one man. So they sent to the sovereign, saying, "Return, you and all your servants." So the sovereign returned and came to the Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal to go meet the sovereign, to bring the sovereign over the Jordan. And Shimei, son of Gera, a Benjamite, who was from Baharim, hastened and came down with the men of Judah to meet sovereign David. And with him were 1,000 men of Benjamin, and Tisba, the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons, and his 20 servants with him. And they rushed over the Jordan before the sovereign. And they passed over the ford to bring over the sovereign's household, and to do what was good in his eyes. And Shimei, son of Gera, fell down before the sovereign when he passed over the Jordan, and said to the sovereign, "Do not let my master reckon crookedness to me, neither remember what wrong your servant did on the day that my master the sovereign left Jerusalem, that the sovereign should take it to heart. For I, your servant, know that I have sinned. And see, I have come today, first of all the house of Joseph, to go down to meet my master the sovereign." But Abishai, son of Zeruiah, answered and said, "Should Shimei not be put to death for this, because he cursed the anointed of Yah?" And David said, What have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah, that you are to be adversaries to me today? Should any man be put to death in Israel today? For do I not know that I am sovereign over Israel today? So the sovereign said to Shimei, You do not die. And the sovereign swore to him. And Mephibosheth, son of Saul, came down to meet the sovereign. And he had not attended to his feet, nor trimmed his mustache, nor washed his garments, from the day the sovereign went away until the day he came back in peace. And it came to be, when he had come to Jerusalem to meet the sovereign, that the sovereign said to him, Why did you not go with me, Mephibosheth? And he answered, My master, O sovereign, my servant deceived me. For your servant said, I am saddling a donkey for myself to ride on it, and go to the sovereign, because your servant is lame. And he spoke slander against your servant to my master the sovereign. But my master the sovereign is a messenger of Elohim. Therefore, do what is good in your eyes. For all my father's house were but dead men before my master the sovereign. Yet you set your servant among those who eat at your own table. Therefore, what right have I still to cry out any more to the sovereign? Then the sovereign said to him, Why do you speak any more of your matters? I have said, You and Tishba share the land. And Mephibosheth said to the sovereign, Rather, let him take it all, since my master the sovereign has come back in peace to his own house. And Barzillai the Gileadite came down from Rogelim and passed over the Yarden with the sovereign, to send him on his way over the Jordan. And Barzillai was a very aged man, 80 years old, and he had sustained the sovereign while he was dwelling in Manaim, for he was a very rich man. And the sovereign said to Barzillai, Pass over with me, and I shall provide for you with me in Jerusalem. But Barzillai said to the sovereign, How many are the days of my life that I should go up with the sovereign to Jerusalem? I am now 80 years old. Do I discern between the good and evil? Does your servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Do I still hear the voice of singing men and singing women? Why then should your servant be a further burden to my master the sovereign? Your servant would only pass over the Jordan with the sovereign for a short distance. And why should the sovereign repay me with such a reward? Please let your servant turn back again to die in my own city, near the burial site of my father and mother. But here is your servant Kimham. Let him pass over with my master, the sovereign, and do for him what is good in your eyes. And the sovereign answered, Kimham is passing over with me, and let me do for him what is good in your eyes. Now whatever you choose of me, I do for you. Then all the people went over the Jordan, and when the sovereign had passed over, the sovereign kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and he returned to his own place. And the sovereign passed over to Gilgal, and Kimham passed over with him. And all the people of Judah brought the sovereign over, and also half the people of Israel. And see, all the men of Israel were coming to the sovereign. And they said to the sovereign, Why have our brothers, the men of Judah, stolen you away and brought the sovereign and his household, and all David's men with him over the Jordan? And all the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, Because the sovereign is our relative. And why are you displeased over this matter? Have we at all eaten at the sovereign's cost? Or has he given us any gift? And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah, and said, We have 10 parts in the sovereign, and in David too. We have more than you. Why then did you despise us? Was it not our advice first to bring back our sovereign? But the words of the men of Judah were harsher than the words of the men of Israel. 2 Samuel 20. And there came to be a man of Belial, whose name was Sheba, son of Bichri, a Benjaminite. And he blew with the shofar and said, We have no part in David, nor do we have an inheritance in the son of Yishai. Each one to his tents, O Israel. Then all the men of Israel deserted David to follow Sheba, son of Bichri. But the men of Judah, from the Jordan as far as Jerusalem, clung to their sovereign. And David came to his house. Pardon me. And David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the sovereign took the 10 women, his concubines, with concubines whom he had left to look after the house. And he put them in a protected house and supported them, but did not go into them. So they were shut up to the day of their death, living in widowhood. And the sovereign said to Amasa, Call the men of Judah for me within 3 days, and be present here yourself. And Amasa went to call the men of Judah, but he delayed longer than the appointed time which David had appointed him. And David said to Abishai, Now Sheba, son of Bichri, is going to do us more evil than Absalom. Take the servants of your master and pursue him, lest he find for himself walled cities and escape us. Then the men of Joab went out after him with the Kirithites and the Pelethites and all the mighty men. And they went out of Jerusalem to pursue Sheba, son of Bichri. When they were near the large stone which is in Gibeon, Amasa came before them, and Joab was dressed in battle armor, and on it was a girdle with a sword fashioned in its sheath at his hips. And as he went forward, it fell out. And Joab said to Amasa, Peace, my brother? And Joab took Amasa by the beard with his right hand to kiss him. But Amasa was not on guard against the sword in Joab's hand, and he struck him with it in the stomach, and his inward parts poured out on the ground, and he did not strike him again, and he died. Then Joab and Abishai his brother pursued Sheba, son of Bichri, and a man, one of Joab's men, stood beside him and said, Whoever is well pleased with Joab, and whoever is for David, let him follow Joab. And Amasa was rolling in his blood in the middle of the highway, and the man saw that all the people stood still. So he moved Amasa from the highway to the field, and threw a garment over him, when he saw that everyone who came upon him halted. When he was removed from the highway, all the men passed on after Joab to pursue Sheba, son of Bichri. And he passed over through all the tribes of Israel to Abel, and to Beth Maacah, and to all the Berites. And they were assembled and went after him too. And they went and besieged him in Abel of Beth Maacah. And they cast up a siege mound against the city, and it stood in a rampart. And all the people who were with Joab battered the wall to throw it down. Then a wise woman called out from the city, Listen, listen, please say to Joab, Come nearby, so that I speak to you. And he came near to her, and the woman said, Are you Joab? And he answered, I am. Then she said to him, Listen to the words of your female servant. And he answered, I am listening. Then she spoke, saying, In former times they often spoke, saying, Let them inquire of Abel. And so they ended the matter. I am of the peaceable and trustworthy ones in Israel. You seek to destroy a city and a mother in Israel. why do you swallow up the inheritance of Yah? And Joab answered and said, Far be it from me to swallow up or destroy. That is not the cause. But a man from the mountains of Ephraim, Sheba, son of Bechuri, by name, has raised his hand against the sovereign, against David. Hand him over, him alone, and I withdraw from the city. And the woman said to Joab, Look, his head is going to be thrown to you over the wall. So the woman in her wisdom went to all the people, and they cut off the head of Sheba, son of Bechuri, and threw it out to Joab. And he blew with the shofar, and they dispersed from the city, each one to his tent. And Joab returned to the sovereign at Jerusalem. Now Joab was over all the army of Israel, and Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was over the Ketherites and the Pelethites, and Adoram was over the compulsory labor. And Jehoshaphat, son of Alud, was recorder, and Sheba was scribe, and Tzadok and Abiathar were the priests, and Ira the Yaratite was priest to David. 2 Samuel 21. And there was scarcity of food in the days of David for 3 years, year after year. And David sought the face of Yah, and Yah answered, because of Saul and his bloodthirsty house, because he killed the Gibeonites. The sovereign therefore called the Gibeonites and spoke to them. Now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites. And the children of Israel had sworn protection to them. But Saul had sought to strike them in his ardor for the children of Israel and Judah. So David said to the Gibeonites, What shall I do for you, and with what do I make atonement, so that you bless the inheritance of Yah? And the Gibeonites said to him, It is no matter of silver or gold between us and Saul, or his house, neither is it for us to put to death any man in Israel. And he said, Whatever you say, I do for you. And they said to the sovereign, The man who consumed us and plotted against us, that we should be destroyed from remaining in all the border of Israel, let 7 men of his sons be given to us, and we shall hang them before Yah in Gibeah of Saul, whom Yah chose. And the sovereign said, I give them. But the sovereign spared Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, son of Saul, because of the oath Yah that was between them, between David and Jonathan, son of Saul. And the sovereign took the 2 sons of Ritzvah, the daughter of Aiah, whom she bore to Saul, Armoni, and the other Mishbosheth, and the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul, whom she brought up for Adriel, the son of Barzillai, the Mehoathite, and gave them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and they hanged them on the hill before Yah. So the 7 fell together, and were put to death in the days of harvest, in the first days, in the beginning of barley harvest. And Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, took sackcloth, and spread it for herself on the rock, from the beginning of the harvest until the late rains poured on them from the heavens. And she did not allow the birds of the heavens to rest on them by day, or the beasts of the field by night. And David was informed what Rizpah, daughter of Aiah, the concubine of Saul, had done. And David went and took the bones of Saul, and the bones of Jonathan his son, from the men of Yabesh Gilead, who had stolen them from the street of Beth-shan, where the Philistines had hung them up, after the Philistines had struck down Saul in Gilboa. And he brought up the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son from there, and they gathered the bones of those who had been hanged. And they buried the bones of Saul and Jonathan his son in the land of Benjamin in Tilah, Tilah, in the burial site of Kish his father, and did all that the sovereign commanded. And after that, Elohim heard prayer for the land. And the Philistines were again fighting against Israel. So David and his servants with him went down and fought against the Philistines, and David was weary. And Benob, who was one of the sons of the giant, the weight of whose bronze spear was 300 pieces, who was bearing a new sword, spoke of striking David. But Abishai, son of Zeruiah, came to help him and struck the Philistine and killed him. Then David's men swore to him, saying, "Do not go out with us to battle any more, lest you put out the lamp of Israel." And it came to be afterward that there was a battle again with the Philistines in Gob. Then Sibbecai the Hushathite struck Saph, who was one of the sons of the giant. And there was a battle with the Philistines again in Gob, where Elhanan, son of Reagim, the Bethlehemite, struck Goliath the Gittite, the shaft of whose spear was like a weaver's beam. And there was a battle in Gath again, where there was a man of great height, who had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in number. And he also was descended from the giants. And he reproached Israel, and Jonathan, son of Shimei, the brother of David, struck him. These 4 were born to the giant in Gath, and they fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servants.